Hello Scrappers, this is Lorraine from Card Creations, and I have another card to share with you today. I've used the Cricut cartridge from my kitchen for some of my cuts, and this is what the card looks like. This actually will hold a recipe card on the inside, and I've got my spinach lasagna recipe on this card. I printed my recipe using my printer and my computer, and I've got the ingredients on the front side and the steps on how to put the recipe together on the back, and this just slips nicely into this little pocket, and there you have it. So I'll show you how to do that. But to begin with, when you cut your cardstock for for your base, it's the 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, but instead of cutting your 8 1/2 by 11 sheet of cardstock this way, cut it this way, and that way it'll open on the side like that. Okay, so I've rounded my corners on my card base, and the next piece that I have is I did a pink mat, and I cut that at 5 1/4 inches. I ran this through my Cuttlebug with the Tiny Bubbles folder, and I inked the edges. So we'll go ahead and add adhesive around the edge of that cardstock and center that. Okay, the next piece that I have is I used the kitchen stack from Die Cuts with a View, and I do have a Stampin' Up die cut, and that's what I used to cut this piece here, and I also cut a mat for that in brown. Now this does have stitching along the edge, and on this piece I cut just right on the stitch line, and that way I'll have it just a slightly smaller to fit on my mat. I put foam tape on the back, and I'm just going to center that there. Okay, and now I'll go ahead and add adhesive to the back of this. Now some of you may not have seen an ATG gun before. If you go to my blog at cardcreationsbylorraine.blogspot.com, I have a link there on where to purchase an ATG gun, and the tape on it is 36 inches, 36 yards long, so it lasts quite a long time. Okay, so we've got that. Now I also cut a small tag, and this tag is cut at 1 1/2 inches with the shadow, and you can find that on page 28 of from my kitchen manual. And I added foam tape to the back of that also, and I'm just going to add that right in the center there. Okay, we'll move into the inside of the card. Now if you don't have the Stampin' Up die cut, you can cut your own from several Cricut cartridges. One that comes to mind is the Accents Essentials, and this is what it looks like, and it's just about the same shape, just a little different, but it'll work also. You can cut this out at 3 1/2 inches. Now I've cut another piece that I'm going to add to the inside of my card right here on this side for messages, and I've used some brown ink along the edges. So we'll go ahead and add some adhesive to this. And make sure I have that right, and add that right on there. Okay. Okay, now we'll move over to the actual section that I'll add my recipe to. Now my recipe card, I cut this from page 61, and I cut it at 3¼ of an inch. And I've on this little frame here, I just rounded the corners, and that way when I attach it to the bottom of my card, it'll fit just perfect and you won't have the corners hanging out. Okay, so let's see. I actually have a piece of acetate that I need to grab real quick. Sorry about that, but I had set it aside because I already added my adhesive to the corner, or to the edges, 3 edges along the bottom and the 2 sides. And what I'm going to do is get my frame and just line it up like that. Okay, and now your recipe card will have a little window. And next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and add my adhesive to the edge of that, just on the 3 sides, the right and left side, and then along the bottom. Okay. Go ahead and add that to the inside of our card. There we go. Okay, and on this little recipe card, it didn't really have a decoration up on the tab, so I just got a piece of the designer paper and just cut the little shape up at the top of my tab just to add a little decoration. You can add some more designs from the cartridge if you'd like. And then the next thing I did was I cut a piece of ribbon and I added adhesive to the back of that, and I'm just going to add this right at the top of my recipe card. Flip it around and bring it along here. There we go. And then just cut it right there on the edge. And that way you don't have any seams. Okay. And I did use my white gel pen just to add some stitching around so everything would coordinate together. And then this just slips right in here. Just like that. And there you have a nice way to present a recipe card. And show you the inside once again. There we go. And thanks for watching.